really glad to be following the one-house shade. Woo-wee. Well, I'm going to sort of half recite and half read the first poem in John's anthology, Poets' Corner, which is called, and will be familiar to most of you, Dover Beach by Matthew Arnold. And since we're talking here about poems that are poems that remind us of why we love poetry, poems that really embody thought as opposed to being thought, this is a poem that really, I think, turns on the idea of the ocean. You know, you can hear the ocean moving through the poem. He was a Victorian poet and essayist, Matthew Arnold, and the poem begins with the point of view of somebody looking out from the white cliffs of Dover across the channel to France. And it appears to be a beautiful evening and everything is lovely, and then the poem rapidly takes a downward turn. But it's sort of like, you know, it's just a kind of beautiful moment of melancholy, the way we turn from enjoyment to that lugubrious that characterizes our century. Dover Beach. The sea is calm tonight. The tide is full. The moon lies fair upon the straits. On the French coast, a light gleams and is gone. The cliffs of England stand, glimmering, vast, out in the tranquil bay. Come to the window. Sweet is the night air. Only from the long line of spray where the sea meets the moon-blanched land, listen. You hear the grating roar of pebbles, which the waves draw back, fling at their return up the high strand, begin and cease, and then begin again, with tremulous cadence, slow, and bring the eternal note of sadness in. Sophocles, long ago, heard it on the Aegean, and it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. We find also in the sound of thought, hearing it in this distant northern sea, the sea of faith was once too at the full, and round earth's shore lay like the folds of a bright girdle furled. But now I only hear its melancholy, long withdrawing roar, retreating to the breath of the night wind down the vast edges drear and naked shingles of the world. Ah, love, let us be true to one another. For the world, which seems to lie before us like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, hath really neither joy, nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help for pain. And we are here, as on a darkling plain, swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight, where ignorant armies clash by night. Thank you. That was an upward.
A very dark poem, but here's a very light one. I will follow Matthew.
I'll do the dark.
I will follow Matthew Arnold with Walt Whitman. Kind of like a Democrat following a Republican administration.
Oh, please. How could you say that to me?
I just got back from Kansas City. Do any of you know Kansas City well? There's an incredible place there that I saw, the Museum for the Steamboat Arabia. Anybody know this corny place? It's fantastic. They excavated an entire crashed steamboat about 10 years ago and have meticulously reconstructed and restored tons and tons of cargo. Out from the bowels of this wreck have come everything: flintlocks, powder kegs, oil lamps.
Wow.
It's an absolutely amazing museum of American commerce. It's like just opening a chest and seeing the middle of the 19th century. That's kind of how I see this poem. From Leaves of Grass, there was a child went forth. I'm sure many of you know and love this poem. This is another fairly declamatory one. Back to the podium. There was a child went forth every day, and the first object he looked upon, that object he became. And that object became part of him for the day, or a certain part of the day, or for many years. or stretching cycles of years. The early lilacs became a part of this child, and grass, and white and red morning glories, and white and red clover, and the song of the phoebe bird, and the third-month lambs, and the sow's pink faint litter, and the mare's foal, and the cow's calf, and the noisy brood of the barnyard, or by the mire of the pond side, and the fish suspending themselves so curiously below there, and the beautiful, curious liquid, and the water plants with their graceful flat heads, all became part of him. The field sprouts of 4th month and 5th month became part of him. Winter grain sprouts, and those of the light yellow corn, and the esculent roots of the garden, and the apple trees covered with blossoms, and the fruit afterward, and woodberries, and the commonest weeds by the road, and the old drunkard staggering home from the outhouse of the tavern whence he had lately risen, and the schoolmistress that passed on her way to the school, and the friendly boys that passed, and the quarrelsome boys, and the tidy and fresh-cheeked girls, and the barefoot Negro boy and girl, and all the changes of city and country wherever he went. His own parents, he that fathered him, and she that had conceived him in her womb and birthed him, they gave this child more of themselves than that. They gave him afterward every day. They became part of him. The mother at home quietly placing the dishes on the supper table. The mother with mild words, clean her cap and gown, a wholesome odor falling off her person and clothes as she walks by. The father, strong, self-sufficient, manly, mean, angered, unjust. The blow, the quick, loud word, the tight bargain, the crafty lure, the family usages, the language, the company, the furniture, the yearning and swelling heart, affection that will not be gainsaid, the sense of what is real, the thought if after all it should prove unreal, the doubts of daytime and the doubts of nighttime, the curious whether and how. Whether that which appears so is so, or is it all flashes and specks? Men and women crowding fast in the streets. If they are not flashes and specks, what are they? The streets themselves and the facades of houses and goods in the windows, vehicles, teams, the heavy planked wharves, the huge crossing at the ferries, the village on the highland seen from afar at sunset, the river between, shadows, aureola and mist, the light falling on roofs and gables of white and brown 2 miles off, the schooner nearby, sleepily drooping down the tide, the little boat slack-towed astern, the hurrying, tumbling waves, quick broken crests slapping, the strata of colored clouds, the long bar of maroon tint, away solitary by itself, the spread of purity it lies motionless in, the horizon's edge, the flying sea crow, the fragrance of salt marsh and shore mud. These became part of that child who went forth every day and who now goes and will always go forth every day.